Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu wasallam ala nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd, today is the 13th of Safar 1433, it's the 7th of January 2012. And we are initiating a brand new discussion on a very critical and entertaining topic, which is that of Karaamaat AlAwliyaa, right? Faslun fi Karaamaat AlAwliyaa. Now the Shaykh will eventually explain the terminology. What is Karama or Karaamat and Wali and Awliya. So I'm not going to give you the definition, or in other words the translation, until the Shaykh explains it, just so we will not be ahead of him. But remind me of the Urdu equivalent. Karamat. Okay, almost same thing. There must be some sort of distortion. Karaamaat AlAwliyaa, the Shaykh says, Mas'alatun hammatun ينبغي أن يعرف الحق فيها من الباطل. The Karaamaat AlAwliyaa is a matter of major importance, concerning which one should know the truth from the falsehood, should be able to make a distinction between them. هل هي حقيقة ثابتة? Is it a confirmed truth? Is it real? أو هي من باب التخيلات? Or is it something that is part of imagination? People imagine things and they claim they are karamat, while in reality they exist not. فبين المؤلف رحمه الله قول أهل السنة فيها بقوله. The author, may Allah have mercy on him, he explained or clarified the position of Ahl Sunnah and its regard. So he said, وَمِنْ أُصُولِ أَهْلِ السُّنَّةِ وَمِنْ أُصُولِ أَهْلِ السُّنَّةِ From the foundational principles of Ahl Sunnah, التصديق بكرامات الأولياء. What is tasdeeq?
Attestation.
Okay, attestation. Nice word there, barakallah feek. What is a more? Belief. To believe in something, to accept something, to affirm something. That's why he was called Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. That's why Sadaq Allah in the Quran, not the Sadaq Allah al-Azim, which they say after the Quran. That is a bid'ah. But for Qul Sadaq Allah, it occurs in the Quran. وَمَنْ أَصْدَقُ مِنَ اللَّهِ قِيلًا, who is more truthful in Allah in speech, and so on and so forth. نعم. التصديق إذن بكرامات الأولياء. So the first question is, فَمَنْ هُمُ الْأَوْلِيَاء? Yeah, who would like to help us out? Who are the awliya? Okay, fine, the friends of Allah, and who are the friends of Allah? Pious, God-fearing. Any other traits and characteristics? Submissive to Allah? Same thing. Miracle? You mean miracle? Okay, or miraculous, maybe, or miracle. Maybe not. There you go, guys. It's nice to give us your opinion, which we all love and appreciate. But very often when it comes to decisive matters like this, you need to quote something from the Quran and the Sunnah. Now you all said correct answers, but the most precise definition would be the one given by Allah or His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because when you get an evidence from the Quran and the Sunnah, no one can contradict it. If we said, this Shaykh Fulan said, he would tell you, yeah, but Shaykh Fulan said. And so now you have Shaykh Fulan versus Shaykh Allan. Remember someone said, who's Fulan? Said, who's this Fulan, brother, you keep talking about in the lectures? So Fulan is X person. So then one way, you can't really get it. But if you say Allah said, and then Shaykh Fulan said, excuse me, I'm not going to listen to Shaykh Fulan because Allah already said. Now, if Allah said something which is, let's say, falls under the mutashabih, the ambiguous, then we still have room for tafsir and ta'wil of interpretation. He will say, yeah, but Ibn Abbas said, and the other one say, but Mujahid said, and Ibn Mas'ud said, and then we still have an issue. But when the ayah is muhkama, it is entirely clear End of story. So here, because people talk too much about the wali, they've added new traits, such as he must have a grave that has a construction built where people visit and drop off money, and all these things. This is now what, if one doesn't have it, no, he's not a wali, because he has not received any worship from human beings. So they've added these conditions to make a person wali, but Allah told us already, the ayah that Shu'aib quoted, which is clear. And this is the first thing the Shaykh said, وَالْجَوَابِ, the answer is وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ بَيَّنَهُمْ, Allah already told us who the awliya, بِقَوْلِهِ أَلَا إِنَّ أَوْلِيَاءَ اللَّهِ لَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَهُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَكَانُوا يَتَّقُونَ. Verily the awliya of Allah, لَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ, there shall be no fear concerning them, وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ, nor should they or shall they grieve. And the ulama say this has to do with the dunya and the akhirah. The dunya and the akhirah. They're not going to be afraid, nor are they going to grieve. There's going to be safety and security for them. Who are they? الَّذِينَ, those, the demonstrative pronoun, those, آمَنُوا, they believed. Now, آمَنُوا is what? Yeah, but what tense? Past tense. It's in the past tense. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَكَانُوا يَتَّقُونَ. يَتَّقُونَ is what tense? Mudari'. Now, in English, when do you use the present tense? When you want to speak about something which you do habitually. Like you say, I go to school at 7 o'clock. If you say, I went to school at 7 o'clock, khalas. You went to, maybe one day in your life you went to school and it was at 7 o'clock. When you say, I go, maybe some of you have done that. Like, yeah. How did you know, brother? I didn't know, man. It's not Karaamaat AlAwliyaa. None of that over here. We're far away from that. But anywho, I go to school. You use the present tense to indicate something that you do all the time. So when you speak about facts, the sun rises every day from whatever. Facts, you use present tense. Things you do every day, I go to school by bus, I eat breakfast at 8 o'clock, I enjoy diving. All of these are verbs which you use because you're speaking of something that you do often. And in the Arabic language, there's a similarity. So, كَانُوا يَتَّقُونَ, meaning it always gives you the impression that every time there's a reason for them to have taqwa, they have taqwa. They're always engaged in this act, something that they do habitually. So even the tenses used in the Quran are very particular and accurate. They're not just by someone who doesn't know may just read, say, who cares? الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَالَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا. It could have been that because it comes in the Quran. No, but there's a reason why these verbs are chosen in this particular fashion. Then this is Surah Yunus, ayat 62-63, which everyone should memorize. Because if you ever come across a Sufi, that's the one ayah that you need to know. To begin with, of course, to start the discussion, you need to know this ayah, because every time he runs his mouth, say yes, but Allah said, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كَانُوا يَتَّقُونَ. Ya akhi, this person has iman, he has taqwa, he has a wilaya with Allah according to his level of iman and level of taqwa. That's it. قال شيخ الإسلام ابن تيمية رحمه الله من كان مؤمنا تقيا كان لله وليا. Nicely put. Shaykh al-Islam said, may Allah have mercy on him, whosoever is a pious believer, he to Allah is a wali. He's a close friend to Allah. That's it. You need two things, iman and taqwa. Now the Shaykh said, لَيْسَتِ الْوِلَايَةِ بِالدَّعْوَى وَالتَّمَنِّي. Now wilaya, being a close friend of Allah, is not something which one can acquire through da'wah, claimants, to claim, I'm a wali, nor by tamanni. What is tamanni? Wish. Who can give us an ayah where this word occurs in the Quran? Ha!
I know from the word and to the end, but I don't know from the start.
معلش.
تتمنى أولياء الله لا إنكم ولا إن أولياء لا خوف عليهم.
What am I? You quoting the same ayah we quoted now, Sheikh? when Allah spoke about the Jews, وَلَا أَوَّلَيْ يَتَمَنَّوْهُ أَبَدًا بِمَا قَدَّمَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ. That's one. لَيْسَ بِأَمَانِيِّكُمْ وَلَا أَمَانِي أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ. Right? Even the idea of wishing, wishful thinking, it's not something that you just wish for, nor is it something that you claim. الولاية إنما هي بالإيمان والتقوى. يعني إنما here is for exclusivity. Iman, wilaya is strictly, exclusively acquired through iman and piety. Excuse me. فلو رأينا رجلا يقول إنه ولي. If we saw a man saying about himself, I'm a wali, ولكنه غير متق لله تعالى, but he does not have taqwa of Allah, فقوله مردود عليه. His statement is rejected and returns back to him. It does not go beyond what he claims. Because the Sufis are famous for this, and this is in their books. This is in some of their books of their awliya. That the guy would be drunk, man. He would be drunk, and he's with a woman in a tent, and then he goes out. And the murid, he has to justify and say, no, it's not what I'm thinking. He was not committing zina, and nor was it alcohol that he was drinking. You see what I'm saying? And so they will deny, evidence, which is evident that this guy is a wicked person, but because he fooled them into believing he's a wali, so now they say it's Pepsi. Of course, maybe back then they didn't have Pepsi, but they claim that wine he was drinking is not wine. And that woman, he was giving her da'wah. He was not having relations with her. And we've read these stories. It's crazy. The guy would tell him, give me my pants. I mean, he doesn't even have his pants with him. And the murid tries to find some justification as to why his, sheikh, his master, Sufi master, was not really committing any sin. أما الكرامات فهي جمع كرامة. Karamat is what kind of plural? Jama' mu'annath salim. Excellent. What is that? How do you identify the Jama' mu'annath salim? What is the sign? Alif ta. Mu'mina, mu'minat. Muslima, muslimat. Aisha, aishat. Khadija, khadijat. This is there, by the way. These words can be pluralized. And so here we have karama, karamat, madrasa, madrasat, or madaris. Some words actually have two kinds of plurals. Jama' taksir and Jama' mudhakkar salim or Jama' mu'annath salim. Both work out. Now, وَالْكَرَامَةُ أَمْرٌ خَارِقٌ لِلْعَادَةِ أو خارق للعادة. What is karama? It is a matter, the simplest way to put it is an unusual event. Even though khariq is beyond, ada, the norm. Something that is beyond the norm. If you want the literal translation. In English they say something extraordinary. Something extraordinary. Not your usual thing. Not that which you see on daily basis. يُجْرِيهِ اللَّهُ عَلَى يَدِ وَلِيٍّ. It is an extraordinary matter or something beyond the norm or an unusual event which Allah allows to occur through the hand or through a wali. وَتَأْيِيدًا لَهُ, as means of supporting him. أَوْ إِعَانَةً, or means of aiding him, assisting him. أَوْ تَثْبِيتًا, or as means of keeping him firm. أو نصرا للدين, or as means of granting victory to Islam. These are the reasons why these things happen. فالرجل الذي أحيا الله تعالى له فرسه وهو صلة بن أشيم. The man concerning whom Allah revived his horse. Allah gave life back to his horse. And his name was Sila bin Ashim. بعد أن ماتت, after his horse died. حتى وصل إلى أهله, and Allah caused that horse to remain alive, to live again until he made it to his family. فلما وصل إلى أهله, when he arrived to his family, قال لابنه, he said to his son, ألق السرج عن الفرس, remove the saddle from the horse. فإنها عرية أو عرية, and I don't know which is the more correct pronunciation, but it is something which we have borrowed. It is a loan. It is a loan from يعير الشيء أعاره, to lend someone something. Is it عرية? عرية لا عرية عرية على كل حال. فلما ألقى السرج عنها, so when he removed the saddle, سقطت ميتة, it dropped dead. It dropped dead. فهذه كرامة لهذا الرجل إعانة له. So Allah then he honored this man in order to aid him. The horse died, Allah caused it to live again so he may make it to his destination. And he knew that this was not normal. He knew he was alone from Allah. So he said to his son, remove the saddle because this is a dead horse. And as soon as he removed the saddle, khalas, the horse dropped dead. أما التي لنصرة الإسلام. Now we give us examples of each. This one is to aid someone, assist someone. أما التي لنصرة الإسلام. As for the one, the karama, in order to support Islam. فمثل الذي جرى للعلاء بن الحضرمي رضي الله عنه. That which happened to العلاء بن الحضرمي في عبور ماء البحر, in crossing the water, the sea water. وكما جرى لسعد بن أبي وقاص, and what happened to Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, these are صحابة رضي الله عنه. في عبور نهر دجلة, الدجلة والفرات. الدجلة, he crossed the river, they walked over the river, whether it is through on their feet or through their cattle, whatever they were riding, it doesn't matter. They crossed the ocean or the river by the will of Allah. وقصتها مشهورة في التاريخ. This is famous in the history books. فالكرامة أمر خارق للعادة. So in general, karama is something that is extraordinary, or something that is beyond the norm, or an unusual event. Choose the translation which you think is most appropriate. أما ما كان على وفق العادة فليس بكرامة. As to that which is common, and this is not a karama. If something anyone does, like someone says, I can wake up for Fajr, this must be the karama of the awliya. Say, come on man, everybody wakes up for Fajr, man. It's not something that is special to you. Not everybody actually wakes up for Fajr. But still, it is not something unique that you're able to do that Allah blessed you with. It's something that most Muslims can do if they put their mind where it belongs. وَهَذَا الْأَمْرِ إِنَّمَا يُجْرِيهِ اللَّهُ عَلَى يَدْ وَلِي. And these matters, these karamat, Allah allows to happen through a wali. احترازا من أمور السحر والشعوذة. Why are we saying that? Excuse me, because we have to avoid. Is that a phone? Did you put it on airplane mode?
No.
Meaning even if someone called you, marra. Not that it will be silent or vibrate, no call will make it. No problem. احترازا من أمور السحر والشعوذة. Why? Because we have magicians and people who do witchcraft, who will come and do all kinds of funky things and tell you this is wilayah. And I remember back in the days in Jahiliyyah, back in Lebanon actually, we used to actually have the Ouija board. I don't know if you know about this. But we would actually speak to jinn. Not necessarily audibly, but we would get this board which will have the letters. I don't know, you may have another name for it. And then we will bring a cup, a coffee cup, the Lebanese coffee, the small one. And we will put the finger, on that thing. And I used to do it, people used to do it. I'm not, we're not crazy. And for example, we will say, what is the name of my father? And that thing will move and write, your father's name. And we used to do this every night. And so, yes, this was because it was crazy. It was something that is really crazy. And so, now someone may come and say, this is Karaamaat. So no, this is some form of sha'wada. This is witchcraft. And we know that jinn, shayateen, love to play with the children of Adam. When you seek them, when you want to deviate from the path, they're there. How do you think magicians work? Magicians work by submitting themselves to a shaitan, who will then do things that people cannot do in order to cause fitna between the people. That's what magic is, and magic is real. It is not only tricks, as people say. It is not tricks. There's real magic, real stuff with the shayateen. Huh? Yeah. Yes. Well, there are shayateen among the ins. David Copperfield, maybe one. You know, these famous magicians who do crazy stuff, man, they make an airplane disappear and things of the sort. It is not far-fetched. If they're not tricking you, it is not far-fetched that they're working for the shayateen, and that actually happens. Because the two angels in Babel, Harut and Marut, they used to teach the people, and they warned them, you know, do not disbelieve. But they would teach them magic. There was real magic, as you all know. فَإِنَّهَا أمور خارقة للعادة, because magic and witchcraft are things which are also unusual events. They are beyond the norm. لكنها تجري على يد غير أولياء الله. However, it occurs through people that are not the awliya of Allah, the crazy people. بل على يد أعداء الله. Rather, it happens through the hands of the enemies of Allah. فلا تكون هذه كرامة. This is dismissed as a karama. It cannot be a karama. So it is very important to identify the person who's bringing this karama. Where is he? And his affair will be evident to the people. A wicked person will be known to be wicked, and a righteous person will be known to be righteous. There's not much investigation to be done. And if someone was to be a hypocrite and fool the people, then Allah will not hold them accountable for their judgment if He was able to deceive them. But usually you know, it's clear who's on the right path and who's off the path. وقد كثرت هذه الكرامات التي تدعى أنها كرامات في هؤلاء المشعوذين. ما لا تدعى التي تدعى أو تدعي أنها كرامات. Because you go to YouTube and put Sufi inserting a rod in his head, and you will see, man, these Sufis while dancing in their ecstasy, the guy will put a knife in his head, a rod from here through there. You know, they will puncture their stomach. Crazy stuff. Wallahi, I'm not. You've seen them. Crazy stuff. You say, no way someone can do this. You've seen them. Hey. So now this is karama. This is shayateen working, man. This is all shayateen. And when someone reaches this level of ecstasy, they're so misguided that Allah Azza wa Jal will increase them in deviance. Allah will allow them to take this path, which will be a form of enticement, istidraj, enticement to lure someone into something, until when he feels safe, boom, you catch him slipping. So they're allowed to continue until Allah takes him in the way which they deserve. Otherwise, this has nothing to do with the karamat. These are all because why? Was this from the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? No. This is how you're able to judge. What these people are doing in the name of Islam, never did the Messenger of Allah do it, nor the Sahaba. Subsequently, this cannot be a karama. And this is not from our deen for you to hurt yourself. Allah debated haram for you to hurt yourself. Some of the ulama say, if a woman wants to get a piercing in other than her ears, and that piercing may cause pain, she's not allowed to get it. If you have a tattoo which you want to remove, some of the ulama say if it will cause you pain, you don't remove it, because you're not supposed to cause yourself any pain and harm. It's the property of Allah, and you have to maintain it. That's why many things which people do are actually haram. Boxing and things of this sort are haram, because it has to do with punching the face, and punching the face is haram because punching the face is very harmful, as opposed to punching other body parts. So the list goes on. The idea is what these people are doing are contradictory to the sunnah, so they're not karamat even if they claim otherwise. So he said a lot of these so-called karamat have become prevalent among those who claim they are karamat, among the witchcraft people, the musha'widin. الَّذِينَ يَصُدُّونَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, those who block people and prevent them from going on the path of Allah. فَالْوَاجِبُ الْحَذَرْ مِنْهُمْ, what is obligatory is that we are careful and cautious of them. وَمِن تَلَاعُبِهِمْ بِعُقُولِ النَّاسِ وَأَفْكَارِهِمْ, and we have to be careful and cautious of the way they manipulate people's minds and their thoughts. And this is something the Sufis are professional in. How to convince someone that they are this and they are that until they catch him. And then once that person is caught, none can save him but Allah. فَالْكَرَامَ ثَابِتَ بِالْقُرْآنِ وَالسُّنَّةِ وَالْوَاقِعُ سَابِقًا وَلَاحِقًا. Then the karama is affirmed per the Quran and the Sunnah, and it is factual based on events that happened in the past and the ones that will come. Because we still see some until today. Now the Shaykh will give us some classic examples or classical examples. فَمِنَ الْكَرَامَاتِ الثَّابِتَةِ بِالْقُرْآنِ وَالسُّنَّةِ. And before I give it to you, from among the karamat which are affirmed in the Quran and Sunnah, who can tell us from the book of Allah, unless you have the book, don't answer, barakallah fiqh. If you don't have the book, you can answer. Who can name a karama which occurs in the Quran?
But they will be coming under...
Let's not deal with the prophets though. The prophets and the messengers, this is mu'jizat, so another discussion. Regular people. Surah Al-Kahf.
Yes.
Do people go and stay 300 some years in a cave and nothing happened to them? Is that normal? Does it happen every day? It doesn't. لمن سبق والسنة لمن سبق قصة أصحاب الكهف. In regards to the previous stories, the story of the people of the cave, الذين عاشوا في قوم مشركين. They had lived among polytheists. وهم قد آمنوا بالله. While they themselves had believed in Allah. وخافوا أن يغلبوا على أمرهم. They were afraid that they would be defeated. فخرجوا من القرية مهاجرين إلى الله. So they left that town migrating for the sake of Allah. فَيَسَّرَ اللَّهُ لَهُمْ غَارًا فِي جَبَلٍ. Allah facilitated for them a cave in a mountain. وَجَّهَ هَذَا الْغَارِ إِلَى الشَّمَالِ. Or وَجْهُ هَذَا الْغَارِ إِلى الشَّمَالِ. That cave is facing the north. فَلَا تَدْخُلُ الشَّمْسُ عَلَيْهِمْ فَتُفْسِدُ أَبْدَانَهُم وَلَا يُحْرَمُونَ مِنْهَا. So the sun does not enter upon them so that it makes their bodies rotten, doesn't ruin or corrupt their bodies, nor are they deprived of it completely. إِذَا طَلَعَ التَّزَاوُرُ عَنْ كَهْفِهِمْ ذَاتَ الْيَمِينِ. When it rises, it declines to the right. وَإِذَا غَرَبَتْ تَقْرِدُهُم ذَاتَ الشِّمَالِ. And when it sets, it does the same thing towards the north. وَهُمْ فِي فَجْوَةٍ مِّنْهِ. And they are in that, in that gap, that location which is perfectly located in that manner. Subhanallah. وَبَقُوا فِي هَذَا الْكَهْفِ 300 سِنِينَ وَازْدَادُوا 9. They remained there 300 years and additional 9. وَهُمْ نَائِمُونَ. While they are asleep. يُقَلِّبُهُمُ اللَّهُ ذَاتَ الْيَمِينِ وَذَاتَ الشِّمَالِ. Allah turns them over to the right and to the left. في الصيف والشتاء. During the summer and during the winter. لم يزعجهم الحر. The heat did not bother them. No air condition, no fan, nothing. وَلَمْ يُؤْلِمُهُمُ الْبَرْدِ. And even during the winter, the cold did not bother them or hurt them either. مَا جَاعُوا وَمَا عَطِشُوا. They neither were hungry nor were they thirsty. 309 years. وَمَا مَلُّوا مِنَ النَّوْمِ. And they never got bored of sleep. Now I know some people who would get bored of sleep either. If they give him 300 years, wallah, he will give it a one kapsa, and he won't wake up until you drop a bucket of water on him. He's not around though, and you don't know who I'm talking about. But anyways, he would love that. He would say, yeah, that sounds pretty good. In fact, maybe some people will say as soon as they go to Jannah, they want to take a good 500 years vacation from all the things and rest to make up. Say, akhi, you don't need that in Jannah. If you go to Jannah, the last thing you will think about is sleep. Another brother said, who has been deprived of marriage, he said, if Allah allows me to Jannah, for the first 100 years, no one talk to me. Okay guys, don't visit me, don't talk to me, I'm going to be busy with my hur al-ain. If you see me walking down the street, don't even give nothing. I'm totally preoccupied. He said, make it a Jannah first, man, then we can discuss the rest later. على كل حال, the Shaykh said, فَهَذِهِ كَرَامَةٌ بِلَا شَكٍ. This is a karama without a doubt. بقوا هكذا حتى بعثهم الله. They remain in this condition until Allah sent them forth. وقد زال الشرك عن هذه القرية. Until even polytheism had been totally eradicated from that particular village. فسلموا منه. So then they were freed and protected from that shirk. وفي another, who can give us another? خلاص نرى. ومن ذلك قصة مريم رضي الله عنها.
The man and the donkey.
Good. You have the book? Okay, good. Also before that, the story of Maryam رضي الله عنها. أكرمها الله حيث أجاءها المخاض إلى جذع النخلة. Allah honored her where the labor, the pain of labor, it drove her to the trunk of a palm tree. وأمرها أن تهز بجذعها لتساقط عليها رطبا جنيا. Allah commanded her to shake the palm tree so that it may drop on her fresh dates. Now you can't really do that. huge palm tree, pregnant woman, about to deliver, and she's not climbing. At the very bottom, shaking it is not going to do anything. Not enough at least to drop a whole thing of dates on you. But that was the karama of Maryam radiallahu anha. ومن ذلك قصة الرجل الذي أماته الله 100 عام ثم بعثه. Also the story of the man whom Allah caused to die 100 years, then Allah sent him forth, resurrected him. كرامة له, as means of honoring him. لِتَبَيَّنْ لَهُ قُدْرَةُ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. So it may become evident for him the ability of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَيَزْدَادُ ثَبَاتًا فِي إِيمَانِهِ, so that his iman will be fortified. To fortify his iman. أما في السنة, this is from the Quran. أما في السنة فالكرامات كثيرة. وعليكم السلام. As for the sunnah, the karamat are a lot. وراجع كتاب الأنبياء باب ما ذكر عن بني إسرائيل في صحيح البخاري. Go back to the chapter of prophets, what has been mentioned of Bani Israel in the book Sahih Bukhari. وكتاب الفرقان بين أولياء الرحمن وأولياء الشيطان للشيخ الإسلام ابن تيمية رحمه الله. And refer to the book, the Furqan, the criterion between the awliya of the most merciful and the awliya of the shaitan. Excellent book by Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah رحمه الله تعالى. وأما شهادة الواقع فبثبوت الكرامات. As to in factuality, the actual, the witnessing, the very witnessing of these karamat, which people have seen. فظاهر, this is evident. يَعْلَمُ بِهِ الْمَرْءُ فِي عَصْرِهِ. Each person knows of it during his age, during that era. That's why I asked you last week, and some of you shared some stories, to which some were like, oh come on, this is not possible. We said don't assume that. It could be one of the karamat. إما بالمشاهدة وإما بالأخبار الصادقة. And this happens either by eyewitness or by an authentic chain of narration conveying that information to us. فمذهب أهل السنة والجماعة التصديق بكرامات الأولياء. So the methodology of أهل السنة والجماعة is that we believe in the karamat of the awliya. But we said, who are the awliya? Anyone who believes in as-taqwa, not the one who has a gravesite where the people worship him. And that these karamat are also, there's also magic and witchcraft being done by the awliya of the shaitan, which make it appear like it is the karamat. So you have to know where the Sufi is and where the Sunni is. When the Sufi brings you something, this is not karama. This is shayateen. This is magic, witchcraft, whatever falsehood thereupon. When one of these people of sunnah, the ones who follow the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, he doesn't have a new way of remembrance or a tariqah which his shaykh brought on his own or things of this sort. This is the one where if something extraordinary happened to him, we say we believe. Provided that we can affirm he is what? A believer and a pious righteous person. A pious righteous person. نعم. وهناك مذهب مخالف لأهل السنة لمذهب أهل السنة. There is an ideology or a way that contradicts the way of أهل السنة. هو مذهب المعتزلة ومن تبعهم. And this is the way of the Mu'tazilites and those who follow them. حيث إنهم ينكرون الكرامات. They deny them in totality. They say there's no such thing as karamat. But Allah made the people of the cave remain for 309 years? Nope. But Maryam shook the palm tree? Nope. The man died for 100 years? Nope. Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, he crossed the river? Nope. You give them evidences from Bukhari, Muslim and the Quran, and they still deny them. They say there's no such thing. وَيَقُولُونَ إِنَّكَ لَوْ أَثْبَتَّ الْكَرَامَاتِ. They say if you were to affirm these karamat, لَاشْتَبَهَ السَّاحِرْ بِالْوَلِي وَالْوَلِي بِالنَّبِي. Then the people will be confused between the magician and the wali, and then between the wali and the prophet. لأن كل واحد منهم يأتي بخارق. Because now every one of them is bringing something unusual. So according to them, if you affirm, the average people will be confused. When a person brings something, it could be a prophet, it could be a wali, it could be an evil person, and so a magician. So they say affirming that creates this kind of conflict. Is it the case? Absolutely not. When a prophet is from Allah, you will know. He will tell you, I'm a prophet from Allah. A wali will not tell you, I'm a prophet. Because he is from الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَكَانُوا يَتَّقُونَ. Khalas, he's not going to claim to be a prophet. Done. Then we have to look, is he a magician or is he on the sunnah? If he's on the sunnah, end of story. But when someone is dancing then he brings a rod and shoves it in his head, you better believe this is not a wali nor a taqi. Huh? Or the Shia, beating themselves with chains or anything that is retarded, that the people do in the name of Islam, ala tool, you can make the judgment. It doesn't need a genius to figure it out. Because this is not the karamat. It is not you harming yourself and not dying. It is when Allah causes something in this dunya that usually doesn't happen for your protection. Like the man who had to ride the horse, and as we will see. Notice the difference now. Allah making, not you hurting yourself and in the name of loving Allah and remembering Allah and saying Allah, 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 Allah yahdik. That's the only thing we can say to you. Allah yahdik, may Allah guide you. You don't need to repeat the name of Allah in this fashion. You see the difference between the awliya of shaitan and the harm they cause to themselves in the name of karamat, and what others from the real people of sunnah wind up happening for them from Allah. Not them afflicting or inflicting it upon themselves. فَيُقَالْ لَا يُمْكِنَ الْإِلْتِبَاسِ. We say to them, there's no such thing. You cannot really get mixed up within these things. لأن الكرامة على يد الولي. The karama happens through the wali. والولي لا يمكن أن يدعي النبوة. The wali can never claim prophethood. ولو ادعاها لم يكن وليا. As soon as he claims it, he's not a wali. Because now he's like Mizra, what is Ahmed Ghulam, the Qadianis, and these other the ones in the 5%ers in America. What is that guy named? La. Yeah, well, that one too. Elijah Muhammad. Yeah, and these guys, man, Allah musta'an. على كل حال. آية النبي تكون على يد النبي. The sign, the miracle of the Nabi happens through the Prophet himself. والشعوذة والسحر على يد عدو بعيد عن ولاية الله. As for magic and witchcraft, it happens through an enemy of Allah who is far away from being the wali of Allah. وتكون بفعله باستعانته بالشياطين. And it happens through him, not from Allah, through his assistance or seeking aid from the shayateen. فَيَنَالُهَا بِكَسْبِهِ. He acquires it with his own work. Not that Allah gives it to him. He has to strive for it. بِخِلَافِ الْكَرَامَةِ. Unlike karama, فَهِيَ مِنَ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. It is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لَا يَطْلِبُهَا الْوَلِي بِكَسْبِهِ. The wali doesn't acquire it with his own earning. It's granted to him by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قال العلماء, the scholars say, كل كرامة لولي فهي آية للنبي الذي تبعه. Excellent. Every karama that Allah grants a wali is actually a sign for that prophet which he's following. لأن الكرامة شهادة من الله. Because that karama is a testimony or a witness or support from Allah. أن طريق هذا الولي طريق صحيح. That the path of this wali is correct. So it is like endorsing his prophet. Because he's following his prophet, Allah aided him. That's telling you that the way of the prophet is by Allah because he's following the way of that prophet. وعلى هذا, according to this then, ما جرى من الكرامات للأولياء في هذه الأمة. Whatever karamat happen to the awliya of this ummah, فإنها آيات لرسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. It becomes signs and miracles for the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام himself. ولهذا قال بعض العلماء. Because of that, some of the scholars have said, ما من آية لنبي من الأنبياء السابقين إلا ولرسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مثلها. Some of the ulama said there isn't a sign, a miraculous sign that happened to any prophet which preceded the Prophet ﷺ, except that the Prophet has something equivalent to it. How? فأورد عليهم أن الرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام لم يلقى في النار فيخرج حيا فأورد عليهم. So it was said to Ahl Sunnah or these ulama, they said, look, you're saying that there isn't a miracle that a prophet had before, except that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had something equal. They said, okay, our Prophet was never thrown into the fire and he came out alive. صحيح? That happened to who? كما حصل ذلك لإبراهيم. And so now they have a conflict because they're saying anything that happened to a prophet before, the Prophet ﷺ had something similar. فأجيب بأنه جرى ذلك لأتباع الرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام. The answer is this happened to the followers of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. And if it happens to the followers, it is endorsing the Prophet himself. It's the same thing. كما ذكره المؤرخون عن أبي مسلم الخولاني. The historians mention Abu Muslim al-Khawlani. This happened to him. that he was thrown into the fire, came out alive. وإذا أكرم أتباع الرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام بجنس هذا الأمر الخارق للعادة دل ذلك على أن دين نبي حق. If the followers of the Prophet ﷺ were honored in something of this sort, then this is a means of indicating that his religion is the truth. لأنه مؤيد بجنس هذه الآية التي حصلت لإبراهيم عليه الصلاة والسلام, because he is being supported with a sign, a miracle that happened to Ibrahim عليه الصلاة والسلام. وأورد عليهم أن البحر لم يفلق للنبي عليه الصلاة والسلام. The others said, okay, but your prophet didn't split the ocean. Right, he didn't split the ocean. وقد فلق لموسى عليه السلام. It was split to Musa. فأجيب بأنه حصل لهذه الأمة ما يتعلق في البحر شيء أعظم مما حصل لموسى عليه السلام. It was answered, they answered the ulama, something which has happened to this ummah in regards to the ocean is even greater than what happened to Musa عليه الصلاة والسلام in regards to the ocean. وهو المشي على الماء. It is walking on water. See, because what happened for Musa, they had to split, they walked on dry land. It was a trial attempt. Come back inshallah. Jazakallah khair. The discussion may be, a little shocking for someone who's come for the first time. Like, whoa! So I was worried that I had to try to remind some of the principles so they will not get scared. I hope they didn't get scared. Allah musta'an. Yeah. Yeah, walking on water. There you go. So, نعم هو المشي على الماء. That is greater. For you to walk on water or for the water to move? Walk on water. كما في قصة العلاء بن الحضرمي, as it happened in the story of Ala ibn al-Hadrami, حيث مشوا على ظهر الماء. They walked on the surface of the water. Subhanallah. وهذا أعظم مما حصل لموسى عليه السلام. This is even greater to that which happened to Musa عليه السلام. لأن موسى مشى على أرض يابسة. He walked upon dry land. وأورد عليهم أن من آيات عيسى عليه السلام إحياء الموتى. It was said to them, okay, Isa among his signs was to give life to the dead. ولم يقع ذلك لرسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. But this didn't happen to the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. فأجيب بأنه وقع لأتباع الرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام. كما في قصة الرجل الذي مات حماره في أثناء الطريق فدعا الله تعالى أن يحييه فأحياه الله تعالى. This happened to the followers of the Prophet ﷺ, like the story of the man whose donkey, other than the other, died. So he made dua to Allah that his donkey is revived, and so Allah Azza wa Jal gave life back to that donkey for that man. And so the idea again, the life, giving life back to the dead. So it's happened to the follower of the Prophet ﷺ. It means it's to the Prophet ﷺ because it's endorsing him. وَأُورِدَ عَلَيْهِمْ إِبْرَاءُ الْأَكْمَهِ وَالْأَبْرَصِ. They said, what about healing the leper and the blind? Healing the leper and the الأكمه والأبرص. Now, فأجيب بأنه حصل من النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أن قتادة بن النعمان لما جرح في أحد ندرت عينه حتى صارت على خده. It was said to them that the Qatada ibn al-Nu'man in the battle of Uhud, he was wounded until his eye bulged out to the extent that it was hanging on his cheek. This is how far down it went. فجاء النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فأخذها بيده. The Prophet ﷺ came and he grabbed his eye with his hand. ووضعها في مكانها, and he returned it in its place. فصارت أحسن عينيه. So it became the better of his two eyes. The one that was all the way out became better than the old eye, because the Prophet ﷺ had done so. And this is of course the blessings of the Prophet ﷺ which Allah put in him, in his hair, in his spit, in his saliva, in anything which the Prophet ﷺ came in contact with, it had that virtue. We believe that too among Ahl Sunnah. But we don't go looking for hair now, somewhere with some Sufi and try to seek barakah in that, where we make our life revolve around it, or worse, to us to go after some regular sheikh and claim that he has the same barakat. As some of them will go and some of the Shia, he would go spit in people's water. Can you imagine someone spitting in your water? Maybe if you spit in water, I'll spray him back with it. Say, no, you spit in my water. All he thinks that he's going to bless my water by spitting in it. I'll make him buy me a new one. Say, give me 1 riyal. That'll be quite nice, huh? Give me 1 riyal for this water that you just ruined for me. People think this guy has a blessing in his spit. There's worse than that. I seen a video on this wicked Shia, this This guy, man, wallahi, he put his hand in his stomach and he took out dung, feces, and he dropped it on the ground, and wallahi, some guy ran after him and ate it. It's on YouTube. And I watch these things, and then I come deliver lectures like Sufism, and then you wonder why people think we're attacking and because we see some crazy things, man. We attack these people because they've distorted our religion. Does our religion teach you to eat the dung of someone? I mean, this is crazy stuff. But they do this in the name of their supposedly awliya and their karamat. So, be careful of these creatures, man. على كل حال, so they supposedly spit in these things and they become better. فهذه من أعظم الآيات. This is among the greatest of signs. فالآيات التي كانت للأنبياء السابقين كان من جنسها للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أو لأمته. So any miracle actually that occurred with the previous prophets, either the equivalent of that or something similar to it has happened to the Prophet ﷺ and his ummah, or his ummah. وَمَنْ أَرَادَ الْمَزِيدَ مِنْ ذَلِكَ, whoever seeks more, if you want more of that information, فَلْيَرْجَعْ إِلَى كِتَابِ الْبِدَايَةِ وَالنِّهَايَةِ في التاريخ لابن كثير رحمه الله. Go back to the book البداية والنهاية في التاريخ لابن كثير رحمه الله. It's a famous book. Now the Shaykh said تنبيه. Wait a second, guys. Sorry. I know Habibi 7:15. We're looking for the time of Salah. Okay, that's it. The last paragraph. الكرامات قلنا إنها تكون تأييدا أو تثبيتا أو إعانة للشخص أو نصرا للحق. We said karamat, as we said, is either means of ta'eed, support, tathbit, keeping firm, i'ana, aid or assistance, أو نصرا للحق, aiding and supporting the truth. ولهذا كانت الكرامات في التابعين أكثر منها في الصحابة. That's why you find that the karamat among the tabi'in were more than the time of the Sahaba. لأن الصحابة عندهم من التثبيت والتأييد والنصر ما يستغنون به عن الكرامات. The Sahaba, the level of their iman, the level of firmness that they were upon, and the assistance they got from Allah made them in no need of many of these karamat. They were already on that path. فإن الرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام كان بين أظهرهم. The Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام was among them. He was among them. وأما التابعون, as for the followers, فإنهم دون ذلك. They are beneath that. They are below that. ولذلك كثرت الكرامات في زمنهم. This is why karamat became more prevalent during their time. تأييدا لهم, as Allah means of aiding them. وتثبيتا, keeping them firm. ونصرا للحق, and as aiding and supporting the truth. الذي هم عليه, which they were upon. And so inshallah, next week, bi'idhnillah, we will deal with some examples that happened to the Sahaba and some elaboration on that as well, and we'll be done actually. Then we will go into, I believe, among the last chapters of this book, which is في طريقة أهل السنة العملية, the practical application of the methodology of أهل السنة والجماعة. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد.
Can I tell you one story?